Hello and welcome. Tonight we are going to paint some Plague Marines. I've got two guys up on stands that I put together at some point last night. I just kind of picked and chose weapons that I felt like doing, mix and match some heads. I have a bunch of sprues of Plague Marine stuff. These guys are pretty cool. This guy's thoroughly spiky, including that huge spike on his head. This guy's a little bit buggy, still spiky. He's got a little grenade with him. He's got skulls on him. So he's got a lot of cool details. He's got the spiky shin guard that kind of harkens back a little bit to the days of old. Pretty cool backpacks. That's actually from Chaos Lord. Excuse me. So these will be fun. And then I've got this guy here who is they get a special guy in their squad, champion, something like that. So he gets a plasma pistol. He's going to get a slightly different paint job. I want this guy to come out dark. So if you look at example, most of my Plague Marines have sort of a mixture of a green and then a off-white that sort of harkens back to the good old days. My champs, I want to make sure that I color them somewhat different so that they're easy for me to pick out when I'm learning to play the game. I don't accidentally yoink them first out of the squad. So this guy's not going to get any of the light color. He's going to, and you can see that his primer, pretty dark. He's got a little bit of a little light action going on him, but he's just going to be pretty darn dark green. But then he's got accents that are cool. He'll get, some white and red on the teeth in his chest. I might do some, light blue to sort of, or maybe some light green to sort of look like warp energy over here. He's got a bunch of spikes on his shoulder. He's got a huge cape. So there's opportunity for color, but as far as the armor goes, I'm going to stick with fairly dark treatment. Put you back. So that's kind of the run of it. Let me just check all my stuff over here. Okie dokie, I think I'm running right. Let me just pop that and see if it helps anything. And I think we'll get down to business. The first thing I'm probably going to do is add the green that I need as a start, and I'm going to use AK Slimy Grime Dark. That may be too dark on this guy, but we'll find out because his base coat is very dark on the bottom. We're just going to see how it looks. I'm actually okay if this guy comes out like pretty darn super dark. I don't want him to be black, but if he's got a really rich dark color throughout, that'll make sure that he pops on the table and I don't confuse him for someone else. Obviously there's other cues. I'll have some glow coming off the plasma pistol. So we'll start there. I'll have a sip of tea. Ah, that's hot. Oh my God, that's hot. And we will get underway. Everything seems to be running. So I'll get my little pot container that I normally keep my Slimy Grime Dark in. Give it a good shake. Get plenty of that nasty stuff up off the bottom. And I just find this to be, especially over Death Guard green, like there's a really cool green color. It's nice and thick. But it's not a paint, so you don't have to thin it. It operates like a very muddy, grimy, mossy wash. Alrighty, let's do this. I think I have all the stuff that I need. Do this a little, because I knocked that guy over. Whoop. Yeah, that's way more than I need, but that's pretty normal. Probably can take this stuff straight out the bottle, but I always pour some out for my homies, so to speak. This brush is in pretty good shape. I always save my green brushes for heavy combat duty. The other thing that I've been doing that's kind of a mess on my desk, I've got a whole boatload of Plague Marine bodies that I've put together, and then they're basically put together all the way up to not having the head on them yet because I choose that last. Oop, little arm. And not having their arms on yet because I choose the weapons last. which has worked out kind of fine. I've run into a couple little jams here and there where I was like, oh, I thought these arms were going to fit, and they don't. But that's all right. What I'm going to end up with is a bin full of Plague Marine parts, extras, that'll be useful for a variety of things down the road. Oh yeah, that'll be fine. That'll be just fine. It'll be a dark, super dark green, but it will be green enough, and it'll get into like super dark camo green territory. And as I was saying, this stuff is as thin as a wash, and it has some similar properties to it. So it'll definitely snug its way into corners and little funny spots pretty nicely. So you don't have to like use a lot of brush strokes around it. And that's also a liability sometimes. It will sneak away from you a bit. It'll definitely settle downwards, whichever direction down is based on the orientation that you leave it somewhere to dry. Yeah, I'll get your boots. But I like it. I like this stuff a lot. It's sort of an all-in-one good green solution. It takes washes pretty well, even on large flat surfaces. Like it's I will always have a bottle of that. I'll just put it that way. Always have a bottle of it. Get this little stir here. This other boot. But yeah, it is super thin, and it's all about the like particles that it's taking with it. But you can sort of see there, like, that's pretty dark, but pretty nice. I'm actually going to get this little demonic face a little bit. The thing is, you can go over this green with like a pretty hefty amount of paint and still be pretty secure in having those details show. So getting this done first, because it does drip a bit, kind of a SMRT situation. Of course, I should have this guy up on a holder, but I've only got two. He's the odd man out, and his treatment's a little simpler. So this guy may hang out in the back for a little bit while I work on some other details from the other guys. Yeah. These teeth will be fun. I like this chest piece. Yeah, you can see I just ran the brush across here and it went all up into all those little cracks. Not sure how well that shows. My light's on, I do. But all I did is run the brush across once and it got between all those teeth there. Playing the xylophone. That's all cloth. I don't need to worry about that. Grab this guy by the base. Keep spinning him. Get his helmet. Yeah, you just watch it. Especially over Wraithbone, which is a very thick and textural primer. Like on Wraithbone, it just starts creeping out. Like you dab in one space and it just goes through all those little cracks. This guy doesn't have a backpack on. That's a faux pas. I will have to do that separately later. Just realized it. I totally skipped a step on this dude. Maybe it's because his cape looks so dope that I feel bad about covering it. I don't know. I'll decide another time. I might snip that nub off and just do a tiny little like green stuffy thing over there. Because hiding that cape sort of feels a little bad. He's got a super grand vibe. Looks like a boss. That gauntlet doesn't hurt the situation by any stretch. So yeah, and even in these weird crevices, you can just sort of dab a little bit in and rely on it to find its way around. But that's obviously a complication. It's working its way up that spike, but that'll be fine. If I have to touch it up a little bit with some Wraithbone again before I go nuts, no biggie. Yeah, I mean, this shoulder, I just kind of dabbed in a couple places, and it did the rest. And it did conveniently stop right up at that metallic line there. It didn't down there, but whatevs. Yeah, this whole glove's getting the green treatment. Dabbing in there. Yeah, this gotta be fun. This guy will be fun. I have started looking up local stores where I might pick up my first game. I am cleared for takeoff. Can't do it this weekend, sadly. Maybe I can. Maybe I'll try. I still have some points to go. to get to a 2,000 point army, but I can do a combat patrol at will. That's probably where I should start, rather than going yeehaw, hi-oh silver. Not sure how busy my weekend is, but maybe I'll probably just go visit a store, case the joint, see if the people seem neat. I'm a coward when it comes to strangers. Um, but yeah, hopefully the store I go to works out, and it's like this will be the place where I learn to warhammer. Looking underneath there, there's a couple little spots I can dab into. Heal of that. That should just about do it. Yeah, okay, he's nice and green. He's gonna sit back there and dry because these guys both will get. I'm gonna grab a reference dude to make sure I kind of do this right. So on the lower half of the body, it's just the knees that get the green treatment, and on the upper body, it's the chest plate and the pauldrons and the helm. I like this guy a lot. Weapon's really, really cool. Don't be ashamed for me that he's not based yet. It'll be like a whole afternoon of just basing. This model is just dope. Like even his back unit is really cool. It's got bells on it and stuff. He's got a grenade by his side, couple actually. This guy puts in work. I like him. All right, so knees, 1 drop. Covering it, 2 drops. You just get in there and let the stuff move around. I don't know if I need to go any further than that. Whenever I tell myself I'm not sure if I need to go any further than that, then I stop. Well, I mean, it's Nurgle's number. At least they made 7 a viable number again. First round of 10th, you can only play him in 5s and 10s without taking a total points loss, which was like kind of weird. The thing is, I'm going to run them as 5s because they're going to have 2 leaders with them. So that'll get me to 7. But yes, it is a pretty awkward number. Like they should have, when you put the stuff in a box like that, you should just support it that way. Like all of their squads should be numerics of 7. Yeah, it's a pretty weird call. And hey, how's it going, Lizard Wizard? Good to see you. I hope you're excited for a weekend. I anticipate getting a lot of chores done, which would make me very happy because they're never ending. I'll do some VO recording, which I haven't done enough of lately, so that'll be cool. Trying to just keep it productive. My whole house isn't sick anymore, so that makes things a little bit more manageable. Sick little kids, man. All you do is just feel bad the whole time, feel incompetent. Yeah, it's already Saturday afternoon. That's right. You're like 2 steps away from going back to work. I love how global this is. Like, yeah, I'm already in it. Looking around. The backpack thing, yeah, it needs some green. Starting a Night Lord's army. I know very little about them except that they probably wear dark colors and are sneaky. That would be my guess. And I think that's a pretty safe guess. I've only read the tiniest bit about them. Actually, I'm just going to go green a bunch of this up because it's going to, everything else on it's going to be metallic and go over it just fine. Are they like assassiny? Sneaky and scary. I like that. Sneaky and scary. Excuse me. Get over all this stuff. Oh, I should get his collar too, even though that'll get some metal. I want to hit it so that this stuff pushes in there and gets around the back a little bit. You know what? I just hit the whole thing. That'll make things go a little bit faster. All right, so shoulders got it. That's in there. I can see it. Oh, they drape their armor in capes of skin and severed heads. Right up my alley. Right up my alley. I knew I'd like these guys. I do find it interesting that like Death Guard don't do that. They're like, death's in the name. It's got the undead thing going, and they leave it to other factions to be like, yeah, it's, like. I mean, obviously there's heads on these guys, but those are grenades. Like they're functional. It's like this is. They don't just like drape skin on them. But yeah, I'm down with that. That's cool. I'm gonna have to look some of them up. They're definitely in the realm of like, man, I'm curious about them. There's like 8 million factions, and I just haven't gotten to them yet. I think they were. I think they were present at the drop site massacre. I think I'm remembering the Fulgrim book right. I've just gotten to the point of the. I want to say meeting. Meeting's not the right word. The thing that happens at Nikea where Magnus gets sort of chided. I'm at the point in that book where they've just landed, and like Magnus thinks this is going to be dope. This is when I tell everyone how awesome my psycho powers are and how we're going to move humanity forward with them. Um, which, like, much as the Emperor hasn't said anything about it, that's actually the Emperor's plan. I'm finding more and more that some of the earliest factions that rebel are the most like the Emperor. I'm not even keeping that in the shot. Let's pay attention. Getting excited talking about the Emperor. And in a weird way, they're the most ethical legion of sorts since they possess lowest collateral. Interesting. Okay, so they're like methodical, surgical about it. That's interesting. Professionals. That sounds fun. I tend to lean a lot towards characters and stuff like that in a variety of role playing game situations. That's going to be cool. That chest plate is awesome. Let me turn my phone off. Ha! My alarm is stream, but I'm on a little early because it's a Friday. But yeah, that's my reminder to turn my camera on and paint. Ah, that's right. They're like the horrifyingly scary. Like if they show up, you done got problems, and like someone's gonna hear about your fate, but you're probably the example the Emperor is setting. That's who they are, if I'm correct, which I think I am. I get their name sort of. I haven't seen any of the stuff they've done directly, so it's a little like vague for me. But I seem to remember there's one Legion where it's like, oh, they showed up. Like, I'm sorry, buddy, but you're being made an example of, and people hearing that they're like in their system, they start like getting in line. By in line, I don't mean lining up to fight. I mean like start acting really compliant fast. This guy's got a rad bug face. Oh, just green you up to start. We'll go over you with some other stuff. And it's part helmet too, which is really neat. Like I don't know how I'm gonna paint it, but Bug Eyes McGee is here to partay. All right, am I missing anything? Do the elbows get it? Elbows don't get it. All right. Yeah, I can get down with ye old. Um, I get down with the Night Lords. It's pretty much how I keep my children in line. I just run around my house covered in flaps of skin, do scary things, and then they just go to bed on time, eat their dinner, do their homework. Not a bad policy. Never works. Yeah, I really don't know a bunch about him, about Conrad. It's Kurz, right? I could stand to learn a lot more about that Primarch. It's definitely a curiosity to me. So sadly for him, I've got a few books lined up before I can even consider him. But every time I hear him referenced by someone, it's always got this kind of like loaded thing of like, this is sort of set apart in an interesting way. All right, so I think I'm pretty close. There's a couple spaces I want to dab in here and get. Don't want to come back with this stuff in the second pass. You want to just sort of sneak that brush in, tap in a few spots so that that grime just sort of moves out, spreads out nicely. That way, when you're doing your detail work, you don't have to come back and check this guy's keister. Yeah, everything's white there. So I think I get to move forward at this point. Now it makes sense to hit it with Wraithbone. Yeah, that dude's got issues. Let himself be killed by an Imperial assassin. Wow, man. What a nice family. What a nice family. Alright, so I'll pull this guy back up front first. If you remember that this dude is sitting in the back just chilling, he's not getting any white. I'll get to him in a second just to sort of get over his horns. Actually, I should do him first because I greened him up first. Wraithbone is going to be for all my light spots as a base. Just to get things lightened up a little bit. Is this brush good? This brush is good. So bad to my brushes. This one's in good shape. Collapse them down, get it on the wet palette. I am going to have to do some plasma glow. I'm excited for that. It'll be a little less complicated than my multiple tries of shininess last time. I don't know if I'll get to it tonight, but I'm definitely going to do glow. I think on this guy I'll just do, yeah, so, do have a plan. Small guy plasma glow. I did a sort of a green thing, and I got to brush over this just a little bit more because I was very, very careful about how far I got with it. But this I liked. This for soldiers, yeah, I know a lot of people use blue, but I liked it. I think it works well because it offsets the dark green, and then of course I've got reds for contrast. But this guy, I brushed so lightly around there. All three, well, that's not plasma, but I'm using that a lot. All three of my lords. You know what? Maybe I should use a different color on this guy. All three of my Chaos Lords have this sort of green plasma treatment. Maybe I'll do blue. Not sure if I have a blue that's bright enough, but maybe I'll do blue on this guy and any other straight up Plague Marines I've got. Just because I want to have some visual cues for myself. And I need more practice with glows. Other thing is I picked up some really dope, yeah, straight up red would be good too. Some dope extra parts of like explosion bits coming out of guns and things like that. I picked up some shell casings to use on bases. I should figure out what that place is called and just say it out loud. What was it? Because they sent me an email back. It's someplace in England, I think. Deadly Print Studio. I ordered some bombshells, which are basically just bullet casings. I ordered some dead bodies. Why not? They 3D print stuff out, and you can either order the files or the actual doohickeys. I got a bunch of stuff for my Night Tyrant that makes it look like the gun shooting. Okay, good. That's good validation. Yeah. I saw someone. I have a mild presence on Instagram. Like I hadn't used it in eons, and then I was like, well, I'll just get this brand out there. And I started looking at other people's stuff, and this one gal who paints really cool stuff had all these amazing effects coming off of her ultramarine stuff. I was like, oh my god. And I was looking through the comments, and like someone had already asked. I was like, oh, thank you so much. This stuff looks dope. So yeah, a bunch of like weapon effecty things. So my I don't know, both of those cannons can have stuff coming off of them, which will look neat. And I'm probably going to see if I can magnetize those things so they're not permanently on there, so it's a little easier to transport. If I can magnetize them, I'll be psyched. Yeah, I'm excited to like up my game in terms of auxiliary extra bits that just make the models look that much cooler. When I was first getting started, I didn't want to mess with any of that because I was like, I got to just kind of learn the super basics. But now, like, there's so many options out there, and so many people have just like made a business out of it. I think it's really cool. Like, can you imagine if your job was just like running 20 3D printers in your garage all day, supplying other nerds with, explosions that perfectly fit into their models? It sounds great. It's good living. Good living. Does this guy have any other weird spikiness? I thought he had another one hiding somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4. I just didn't get part of one. That's all. So these guys will progressively get a little bit more wash over time. Not over time, towards the edge. So I'll wash the base pretty dark. Like that might get skeleton horde. Might get something even darker, like a leather. And then I'll go up a ring with something lighter, and then something lighter, and then I let the tips be sort of like, they might just be pure wraithbone. I might actually give them a little bit of edge highlight with Corax white or something super bright. That's a little scary to me still. Corax white and Mephiston red are like, they're oh dear colors. Did miss a little piece of that guy's leg. It's all right, buddy. That's all right. Set you aside. Have a sip of tea, stretch out a little bit. Good times. Numero dos. These guys are just going to get a lot more white on them. I'll get it on the actual armor. And it could take 2 coats. I'm prepared for that. This brush is definitely imperfect for this. It's a bit long. Maybe get something a little stubbier. I'm not sure if this is stubbier, but I'm going with it. Yoink. Just make sure that guy's loosened up enough. There we go. All this stuff nice and white. Not perfectly white, and it does matter that the undercoat, the primer, is actually Death Guard green. This stuff looks way different under a white prime, or over a white prime. Optimus Prime, Amazon Prime. I ordered some new paints because of the looming Mortarion issue. Now that I gotta paint that guy, it's gonna take me into some color schemes that I've never done before. I'm not terribly worried if I hit that cloak, by the way. That's NBD, no big deal. That thing's getting Mephiston red and a bunch of red washes after it, so we'll be fine. Yoink. I'm not trying to be sloppy intentionally, but I definitely think a lot about the places where I really need to worry about cleanliness and try to not go too nuts in the place where I don't have to worry about too much. Like this coat, it's only going to look right when it gets its second pass. So I want to get coverage, but I don't want to over-index and sit on this step for, hours. Obviously being careful where I drop that green in. that will just smear all onto my white again, and it'll just mean that all that going a little bit quicker will be in vain because I'll just have to do everything all over again. I have found that doing everything all over again a few times is a good lesson, though. It sort of hits home the when to be careful, when you can play it a little bit loose. Get a little dab of water and get that loosened up. Get some control over it. Paint. There we go. There we go. I really do like Plague Marines a lot. I think their models are so much fun. Now that I'm a little bit more comfortable with just sort of putting them together however I feel like to put all these guys together, didn't open the instructions at all. Not that that's some grand feat, but I didn't have to, which is kind of cool. You know, most of the torsos plus one leg are right next to their other leg, and most of those are pretty close to the two chest pieces you have to choose from. Everything gets squirrely when you get to weapons, so you just kind of have to cut them out. Weapons and arms. You just have to cut them out and see what's going to work and what doesn't. But like I had some misfires in choosing arms, but it wasn't that bad. It just felt like a different project than sitting there with the instruction manual open and staring at numbers, trying to make sure I get them right. And for that matter, like there are weapon requirements for these guys, and now that I'm actually putting them into legit squads, those weapon builds need to be correct. I do want a what you see is what you get army. All right, and just be a little careful. It's just a first coat. Now the second coat of white that they get will be like very thin, which is fine, but it's just supposed to not so much take any more green out, but just handle any inconsistencies that are in there. I'm pushing around some green stuff. I gotta wash that brush. I have heard of Battlescribe. I may have actually downloaded it. Maybe I did. I should check. I've actually found that the current version of the Games Workshop app is non-terrible. It's at least better than it was in the last edition. I won't say that I love it, but I've been able to use it. But I am at the point where I should just pick up Battlescribe. I'm excited. I do love learning new games. And it's been a while for me. It's been a heck of a long time that I've played any games, with the exception of cribbage against my dad, who is a cribbage master, so you can imagine how that goes. I beat him sometimes. I do not beat him at all consistently. I haven't played that many games live with people in a long, long time. I used to play a lot in the office, but I don't go to an office anymore. I haven't worked in a legit office in almost 3 years. Take that back. It's got to be more than 3 years at this point. 2 years in my last job, and we were definitely remote for a while. Quite a while. My previous job before that. I do like playing games with folks, and I do like keeping the model in the camera shot like a proper good citizen. A little more paint, a little more water, go back and forth, clean the brush off a bit. Oh, okay. Yeah, then I definitely need Battlescribe. That's the challenge, is actually being able to like consolidate everything. I also need to make cheat sheets for myself. Not to cheat at the game, but like reminders. Like I can see myself letting entire turns go by without ever checking my, you know, uh, my Chaos Lords for like their aura ability, which would be like that would be devastating if I didn't do that because it's like the whole reason they're around. Um, I need to make a cheat sheet that's just like look down at this sheet before you're done with any of your turns or rounds or whatever. Because it's easy to forget stuff. There's a lot of rules. Like part of the reason, and it's going to be so funny to watch all the reasons why I picked the exact models I have in my army be like total BS. Not BS, but like not matter. But I did actually think like not knowing much at all about the strategy of it, I was like, okay, well, like why take a Knight Tyrant instead of another model? And there's a lot of reasons that are like statistical, but like another part of it was like, oh, it's got like, you know, a 12-inch aura around it where you can't teleport guys in. I was like, I could make use of that. You know, that could be interesting. It puts the other player in a different sort of strategic space when they can't just. I mean, when essentially there's like a more than 2 foot circle that you can't just boop teleport into. That's pretty cool. I would forget that. It seems likely that I'll forget it. Don't want to. But yeah, having all the rules and like all that together, that's going to be necessary. You also, oh yeah, so I don't lose any, Death Guard rules for having. You can have one thick boy, one big knight, I think, or three armature or whatever size ones. It's two or three. I don't know. I didn't get any of the little guys. Um, that Knight Tyrant doesn't get any of the Death Guard stuff. Um, he doesn't get like Nurgle's gift, for example. But he naturally just has his own aura of like you don't get to deep strike or whatever it is near me. But you're absolutely right. There's a layer of rules, and it's part of why I made sure I grabbed an ally of some sort. Um, the layer of rules he don't get, and I don't get any of. I get him as a unit and what is on his data sheet. I do not get any of the factional stuff that a Chaos Knights army would get. But he's still got a big freaking gun, several, um, and he's still got rockets he shoots, and he's still tall, and he's still got a heck of a lot of wounds. There's a sort of twist though, because part of why I picked him was I was like, oh, I'm not going to have Mortarion in my army. I'm too scared to make the model, whatever. I'm a coward, and now I got Mortarion, so like me zipping up to 2,000 points is like boop. But I'm gonna have two big guys in this army. It'll be like double threats. I don't know if I'll either stack them right next to each other and just be like or put them at total opposite ends of the table. But I have a lot of investment in two big dudes, and it's probably not going to go well. But I don't care. I have the models. I will obviously buy more models when I find out that my strategy is a little wonky. But I'm working with the guys I got. All right, I think I whitened that guy up enough. I've got both of his arms up past the elbow. I've got his shins, his feet, and his thighs. His keister. Got the bone stuff. Oh, he's got a huge freaking horn sticking out of his head and more spikes sticking out of here. So no, I didn't get everything. So much stuff. I mean, essentially, my army is pretty motley at 2,000 points. Got a Knight Tyrant, which is a serious threat. It's got Mortarion, a pretty serious threat, and has some good aura juice going on. It'll be 3 squads of Plague Marines of 5, but with 2 leaders each. which means like they're not chaff, they're not expendable, but they're also like not a crazy amount of output. But I'm just gonna have them scurry between stuff and kind of hide till they get out front enough where they can hopefully like pull a melee fight. But they're gonna be running for their lives. Yeah, not long till I get my plague marines. I love it. Man, these models are just so much fun. They were a weird choice for me to go with first, but they are fun. Yeah, Dane, you bring it. I think there's a little piece. Yeah, there's a piece of this I got to snip off at some point, but now I got paint on it. I missed a little piece while I was cleaning this guy up. Hard to tell sometimes with Death Guard when you didn't exactly cut the sprue perfectly. Yeah, I'm just going to hit it now. Is what it is. Oh, no, that's going to probably need sanding. That's funny. Yeah, you're going to need sanding. All right. It be what it be. How's it going, Dane? Is it 2 or 3 in the morning for you right now? Isn't it funny that, like, sort of hardcore crew that checks this stuff out, I don't think anyone's anywhere near me. Even the guy that I work with, only the guy that lives in my house is actually physically near me. So I'm actually handling the second coat right now. Very, very light amount of this, like watered down sort of thing. It's not really for super coverage, it's just to get a loose coat of paint in the spots everywhere. Yeah. Just helps before you start throwing washes over it. But it's okay if the green is showing through. That's no big deal. Just to make it a more consistent pass. Ha! I stream on your lunch breaks. That's great. I am. You know what? I am honored that you actually spend your lunch break hanging out with us here. That's very kind of you. I don't know what you do for a living, but like for a lot of folks, the lunch break is very much like pretty sacred. So I'm honored. I got a bunch of absolutely hardcore warriors that watch this stream. I think it's hilarious. Yep, take my lunch break. Yeah, it's like way early in the morning. I appreciate you guys so much. And you're fun. You're fun to hang out with. All right. I've fiddled and faddled with that guy long enough. Take a break from him. Set this down. Stretch out a bit. Ah, you work in IT. I have a lot of friends that work in IT. I'm beholden to many people that work in IT. I am the guy who treats IT very well. And then people wonder why my stuff always works and why theirs doesn't. It's like because I'm good to IT because I know how important they are. One of my best friends is an IT dude. I used to live with him for like 4 or 5 years, one of my old roommates. Alrighty, sip of tea. These guys are coming along pretty smoothly, as they should. I've done this paint job plenty of times. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going pretty heavy into melee. The only range that I'm taking is a plasma pistol on the champion that comes with them, and then I think I might be able to do all the rest just straight up melee. Now that I think about it, if they're 5-man squads, because the champ is one of the 5, and I think you get like 2. Let me pop this other window open. I have it here somewhere. I know I have it here somewhere. Do, 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 do. Yeah. Rules, rules, rules. Yeah, right here. So yeah, one plague champion and 4 to 9 marines. So it'd be one champion and 4 guys, and it is for every model in this unit up to 2 marines can have their plague bolt gun replaced with bubotic weapons, and 2 can have them replaced with plague weapon. So that is part of the reason why the next 2 ones that I'm making, I'm basically treating. I think I should look at the damage profiles, but I'm basically treating 2-handed weapons as heavy plague weapons and 1-handed melee weapons as bubotic weapons. The weapon profiles are different enough. The heavy plague weapon is 3 attacks um, for weapon skill, 8 strength. Yeah, they are kind of different. Both of these are -2 AP, 2 damage, 1 damage. The other one gets an extra attack, hits more consistently, but is only strength 5 and 1 damage. But those both have lethal hits, which is funny because I don't even remember what that means anymore. Yeah, my plan is to just like have these guys skulk about because they're so slow anyway. They're like slow as dirt. But if they yeah, their movement's 5 inches. But if you get them on an objective, like they can get stuck in like a tick. So that's sort of my hope is that I have them sort of scurrying about while Mortarion and this tyrant and a tank and a piece of pottery, all those things are all running around making a ruckus. They can kind of do their job. I have a lot of like very enticing targets. You know, Typhus is going to be running around with 20 poxwalkers, which they're by no means as like regeneratable as Necrons. Because I just looked that up the other day. Apparently Necrons are like dynamite. There's like one squad you can put together. It's like practically impossible to kill. Um, but they do have, if Typhus is leading 20 poxwalkers, got a lot of ways to bring them back. Like basically, if they kill someone, they bring somebody back. If the unit does, and Typhus is in the unit, and his psyker ability counts towards that too. Like if you kill someone with a psyker ability, it just boop, brings back a poxwalker. Yeah, exactly. They're good cannon fodder. They're also good, like they're basically, ablative, if that's how you pronounce it, armor for Typhus. Basically giving him 20 extra wounds, and they have like a feel no pain. So, I mean, I think it's like 6 up feel no pain, but still, like they are going to get absolutely chewed up. But you can bring them back, and you could roll lucky on them and not lose as many. And it's like that is 20 wounds, and they're cheap. And you can screen with them like crazy. Like, yes, the models are tiny. The bases are about as tiny as I think bases get. But you can basically cover a line of attack, space between 2 buildings, and be like, well, you're not getting through here this turn. You take up a lot of geography. And I have them, and I painted them, so they're in my army. I will worry later about things that I want to change. Yeah. Geez, it's the rules are definitely a mix now. So let me just quickly look at something, make sure I don't misinform. Lethal hits. Do. Find. Yeah, lethal hits. Yoink. Whenever you score a crit, normally by rolling a roll of 6, you don't need to roll a wound. But the Chaos Lord in each of those squads is going to give me something. I know I had a plan. It's so funny how crazy the overlap of rules you have to understand is Chaos Lord is Chaos Lord will allow him to re-roll hits of one. But the key thing is the Chaos Lord does. Um, She's got this desiccation conduit aura. So while the enemy is within contagion range, which is that range that keeps growing on them, at the end of every turn, you roll a d6 on a 4-up. That enemy unit suffers a d3 mortals. And so I'll have 3 tiny squads that have that cooking on them. So, like, if I'm hiding in a bunch of buildings, then someone finally comes out and I just smother them. End of every turn, try to roll for some mortals. It's pretty, I don't know. It's not a core strategy by any stretch, but I think it'll be fun. It'll make me think about what it'll make me do is make me think about unit movement and placement a lot, which is the actual point. Like, I'll have something conflicting with just hide in this building or just take this objective or just try to get there. Like, there's a prize in there if I can get my dudes close. And the only ranged weapons I'll have will be plasma pistols, which have the pistol keyword, so I can still shoot them in the shooting phase when I'm in melee, if I remember correct. It may not be a good strategy, but it's not unthought of. In 9th edition, I think you could reroll plague weapons. Yeah, I don't think right now. I don't think right now it's a rerolly thing. And I can't really speak to 9th because, man, everything I heard when 9th was out, I was like so in the dark at that point. Like, to the point where when I started this in, I don't know, May and went into the Warhammer store that's like in that first video, the guy was like, "Are you sure you want to buy this book? Because 10th edition's right around the corner." I was like, I need to start having any idea what this game is about. And it's a pretty book. But like, even the guy at the Warhammer store was like, "This is probably not the best time to buy a freaking rules codex." It's cool. I love that book. Painting, 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 painting. Look at those skulls. Those are just popping. Yeah, it's interesting opinions on it because, like, I can't really weigh in on them because, man, I still haven't played it all. Um, but like, some people like Ninth, a lot of people loathe it. Um, I know that it was like kind of a lot of things were more complex than they needed to be. Yeah, one page rules always exist. It is true. But and I may eventually adopt one page rules. I think the existence of one page rules is awesome, but I design games for a living, so I have to bite the bullet and learn these rules so that I can critique them myself as they are on paper at some point. I may end up on one page rules. That is certainly possible, but not before I prove my worth in my life's vocation. All right, so this guy, just working on his arms right now. I think that's just about it. He's got a couple big spikes sticking out of him. So those get some love too. For the most part, I'm zeroing in on being done with this light layer. Maybe I'll move forward to metallics. We'll see. All in there. Yeah, it's interesting. I did follow a lot because I listened to like game designers talking game design, talking shop about stuff I deeply care about, and I can understand how in some ways it's simpler, but it's very keyword heavy. Not that it wasn't before, but it's like very keyword heavy, and um, they reduced. They did like from a purely empirical perspective. They reduced a lot of die rolls that were in there, but like it still feels pretty complicated, and it's not like all the factions are sitting around with these codexes that are like, here's 6 different ways to play your army that each permute out into like another 3 of them each, depending on how you set things up. Like the rule set right now is relative in the release cycle is light because it's still at the very beginning, and it does feel kind of heavy. But we'll see. I do think it's pretty neat that there's this game out there that is like, I don't know, almost impossible to keep the entirety of it in your head at one time, but it does like it makes you rely on the other person across the table being like a remotely decent human being to play it and have fun. Like at some point I have to join a tournament and like just be mindful of the rules as I can be. But like I'm still struggling to learn the Death Guard rules and to play the game well for like pickup games or a tournament. Like you got to know every faction how they work. You can't really be guessing at it. But cross that bridge when we get to it. Someone will show up with like, "Hey, I got Night Lords," and be like, "I don't know what that means, but good luck to me." There we go. Closing in on this white being done. This guy's arm piece is weird. I'm not sure if I'm painting it wrong, but it's got like a lot of texture that I can't even understand what it is. That may need to dry before I fully understand what I'm painting. There we go. Sneak in there a little bit. Sneak around here a little bit. Taking my time. A few little spikes over there. Got a little bit more paint. Thin it out a little dab. These you got to be really careful with because they're in between a lot of interesting things. Don't need to lose my mind careful, but like around that edge, they're definitely going to get some metallics, but around the other edge, it's all green. There we go. I'm going to set that down. I sometimes forget that I can just literally put this thing down flat and not have my shaky arm holding it. Yeah, I hit his head, but that's going to get some metallics on it. I'll leave it. I'll get these little skull boys very gently with just the end of the brush. They're tiny. Don't need to get all the way around the edges because the wash should carry me where I need to go. Though I probably forgot some stuff on the other models. It needs white the same way this does because I just thought of it for the first time right now. All right, spin it around. Arm looks good. Stand to get under that elbow a little bit. Always more spots. Always more spots. You're looking good. You look good, buddy. His thighs. Didn't get his thighs. I will check those out right after I get in here. Just boop. There you go. This guy's got a lot of neat tentacles on him too. I like that. This guy's got a good mix of stuff. Got interesting stuff on the breastplate. Skulls on him. He's got a bug face. Got tentacles. Got huge horny horn-like spikes. This guy's a mess. I love it. Love it. shut this down, wash this guy. Where did I put my Discord? I have so many monitors running now. Oh yeah, that guy's creepy. I like that dude. Yeah, if that guy shows up, I think you're doomed. That guy's bad news. Bad news. Got his Tiberos. Who's Tiberos? Tiberos. These things are so new to me. Clicking on the thing. Yeah, it looks neat. It's a red wake. Oh yeah, that guy looks real safe. Let me tell you, that guy looks like trouble. Next step is going to be lead belcher. Is that they really call the space sharks? He's pretty cool. Oh, the red wake. I'm guessing they are really called this. Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, he's dual claws. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do just fine. Oh, I love it. All right, let's get some lead belcher on this guy. Might need a tinier brush. I love it. Speaks in whispers. Hey, buddy. How's it going? Am I down a tiny brush? How tiny can I get here? What do we got? Are you tiny enough? You're kind of tiny. That's awesome. What a great character. He's a massive, massive, massive space marine. It's nice and quiet. Alrighty, so the lead belcher plan is to hit guns and other weapons. I will hit claws on this guy. I should hit the claws. I'm not going to hit the palm. The palm will get a little bit of warp lock bronze, but I will hit additional mechanical bits like this whole line of stuff right here that attaches to it. Yeah. Yeah. Get between the fingers. Get the thumb. I mean, the picture I looked at, that dude's massive. His claws are massive. That's like, he definitely showed up in the wrong neighborhood type dude. Okay, this is rolling right along. I do have to make some calls on this part. So I think this part right over the knuckles will get lead belcher. And then we'll worry about bronze on the actual. There's actually like a lot of really interesting stuff on this powered up glove. Got a whole big bug on it. It's very personalized. I don't know if it's personal, but this time it's personal. Very ornate, I guess is what I'm saying. Yep, I skipped this guy's teeth. Live. Little grenade here. Get that with some lead belcher. Go over the string on it a little later. It's around 10 feet, I think. Sweet. Oh yeah, that guy's just very stylish. That's fantastic. I love it. Oh yeah, I have seen that picture before. Just looking down at that poor little dude. Oof. I love it. What a great character. I get this whole tube, even though I'm going to grime the daylights out of it later. A bunch of black wash on it. It'll still have a little bit of residual shine. I love it. All right. Get all these tubes. Get the spike on his helmet. This will just come right along. I may switch that idea up later and make that bronze, but for now it's going to be lead belcher. And I'm cool with that. These little ear doohickeys. Yeah, it looks pretty good with lead belcher. I like it. I'm going to get his plasma pistol. Yeah, he just looks dynamite and super scary. And the books are like so clear about the fact that like the first time you run into some Astartes, you're like, whoa, these guys are big. And then you have like when Astartes get close to their Primarch, they're like, whoa, this guy's big. But like, and even people like looking at Magnus, they're like, that guy's big. But like this dude just running around, like this guy you just bump into in the field of battle, just like, whoops. That's gonna not be good for me. All right, so this gun is reasonably painted up. Got that claw. There's a grenade there. I'm basically thinking out loud to make sure I don't skip over anything. There's no chain. Well, you can see a little bit of chainmail through that piece of fabric, so we'll get in there. Those spots that I missed will get covered up later with the fist in red. So I'm not too worried there. A couple little chain links here. Did miss that. That'll need some white. Yeah, there's some chain on the back. I do still need to get this guy some sort of backpack, but as I said before, we're not doing that tonight. I just left that off there. So yeah, just poking at the tiniest details. A little dab of water, just so that it's not too thick. When I'm hitting chains, I generally just try to get a very small amount of paint on the brush and just let it, not even like brush strokes, just like tap a little bit, barely move the thing, and just watch the paint slide because it's reasonably thinned out. It's interesting that some chapters are just like kind of, I don't want to say off the grid, but like they don't seem to be a part of the master plan on either side. Just kind of do their own thing. All right, so those chains are done. I think I'm pretty good to set this guy aside for now. This guy's got plenty to do in lead belcher territory. A lot. And focus. Yeah, it's reasonably focused. There's a whole lot of axe. I love this axe. This thing is just, I got another one over there. It's just so gnarly. And once I rust this thing up, it's like, it's just, get me my tetanus shot just by looking at it. It is gross. Get this stuff nice and smooth so it gets into these pock marks. If these pock marks were black, I wouldn't really worry about getting anything in there, but they're green. They need their own special treatment and a wash later. That's going to get bronze. Get the whole of this blade. I love the idea of that. Just like just knowing they're coming, you're like, yeah, that's it. I'm done. It is interesting how much like the threat and dread was a tactic that like even the emperor was just kind of fine with. It's like, yeah, sometimes you just need to scare the living daylights out of people by committing atrocities. I do have this theory that I think most of the legions that broke apart from the emperor, kind of because like they were the most like him in some ways. I haven't worked that out yet, and I don't know enough Primarchs to really validate that claim. But there is like there's a thread there, definitely a thread there. I'll work on it. I'll work it into an essay at some point in the winter when I'm cold, feeling snarky. This axe does have like an amazing amount of little cracks and crevices in it that I always struggle to get all of in one run. Stone cold blooded killing. Straight up. Let's see if I can get under there. I gotta give this guy a little turn. Oh yeah, we're getting in there nice. You're looking good. You're looking good, weapon. All right. Some more of this. Move on to some chains. Chains, chains, chains. A little bit on the inside, right there. Once again, I've thinned this paint out quite a bit to get to the chains because I just want to kind of dab it wherever possible. Let it just sort of sink where it needs to go without too much effort. Allows you to get some depth on it without plugging up all the little chain holes you got there. You keep your texture intact. Yeah, I missed by a country mile one little spot in there. Boop, Q-tip time. Yeah, I'll just nip that guy in the bud there. There we go. Oh, with the shadow, it looked like I wiped some of the white off, but I didn't. I didn't. I'm safe. All right, there's plenty of chain painted. He has a gnarly, weirdly sheathed blade on his back. Hit that now. That's going to get rust all over it. That thing's a prime candidate for rust. It just looks all pockmarked. Get around that. And then he's got some amount of mechanical bits, but I think those are probably all going to be in bronze territory. I think that's what I'll do with them. I'll just scooch in here, make sure I get all this blade. Some of that's actually scabbard, so I don't need to go too nuts. Pauldron, helmet's good. At least got some stuff in these teeth, that's good. I'm going to get the 2 bands around the weapon. The rest of it will be wood. These guys kind of hold the whole thing together. Give them a little respect. Pommel. Looks like a big old bolt. Get that. I think I'm done with metallics. Not metallics. I'm done with lead belcher on this guy. Yeah, I can sit aside. Sip of tea. All right, this guy appears to not have too much. He's got the weapon. I mean, maybe he doesn't have any chain hanging from him. He's got a couple little chains where his skulls are hanging. But I'm not even sure I want to hit. I want to hit his backpack. He's pretty easy. There's a couple little spots on the helmet that I should hit. But for the most part, not too much. That's good. It means I can get into my warp lock bronze phase pretty soon. Which would be nice. Be really nice. Definitely sort of gotten into a groove with this paint scheme where like I get my green in, get my white in, get my lead belcher, get my bronze in. And generally, like most of the boundaries are pretty decently painted. I can see where the thing's going and I can make some better calls in terms of like the other detail work I'm going to do. Enough of it is consistently like what I know that like I'm like, okay, I feel comfortable with this model now. This axe though is wild. All right, so I'm gonna do, that's all gonna be bronze. So just the blade. Such a weird axe. Like it's got notches in it, nicks in it, but it looks like, I don't know. Looks like you did buy it at the mall pretty recently. Get that piping. And I don't know what their obsession is with like tubes and pipes on their melee weapons, but I mean, it looks cool. Obviously, you don't have to have that much of a rationale when it looks cool, but it's an odd aesthetic choice. Is it a powered weapon? I doubt it. Maybe it is. Sneak around that way and just get in that little cubby hole. Sort of miss it a little bit. There you go. And further study. No, all that stuff's going to be bronze. I'm convinced of it. Bronze, bronze. That's pockmarked and good. Alrighty. Got that chain. There's a little piece of chain here. Just a little dab will do you. Or a big dab and totally miss the mark and get the top of that skull. There we go. Nice and cleaned up. Try not to let yourself have to repeat too much and don't freak out when you do. All right, and I said the other spot was his helmet. And yes, his weird bugginess is coming through. What I'm going to do is a shiny bit of helmet. That'll make him stand out a little bit from my other dudes. I can't tell if that's like supposed to be brain stuff coming out of there. His helmet, maybe not. Maybe I just keep doing it metal. It is cracked open, so I'll just go down the back of this. Just go down the back. And I'll leave that spot vacant, and maybe I'll just hit that with some Gillum and flesh at some point. Get his grill. This is definitely one of the guys who's like thoroughly melded with his armor. At least as the head goes. I'm making him look like a spaceman because he's bug-headed. That's cool. The helmet keeps his thoughts inside. Or something like that. Alrighty, that'll be bronze. That's bronze. That's all bronze. I'll get this little spike on his knee. That'll be cool. That little spike on the knee. It is kind of funny. When I get finished with Mortarion, I should probably start my second army. Even I'll just buy more Death Guard stuff right out the gate. But it's worth thinking about. Always be one step ahead of yourself. That Earl Grey. It's fine, fine stuff. All right. Do I have any pipes and tubes on here I want to hit? Most of that looks biological. It's deceptive. I'll hit at least some of it on principle. So which of you? Yeah, you look reasonably inorganic. You look semi-organic. All right. Middle one. Alrighty. That's pretty good. The sideways ones I'll leave. These little spikes on the end, I'll hit those. Make sure I hit them with a hefty amount of rust later. Little spikes benefit a lot from rust because you get these little orange motes sort of floating off the side. And there's a little sort of, I don't even know what that piece is. It's at the back of the collar. I'll just hit that. All right. Now we can move on to bronze. Bronze age stuff. Bronze is pretty important work. Pretty awesome dark bronze. I think this guy may be too wet tonight, but he's not quite as dark as I want him to. He may be getting a grime slick at some point. He seems like a good candidate for it. If I grime him, that'll get him nice and dark. I am going to order some of those foam makeup pad things because I've heard that those are pretty good for taking grime off with the white spirits. I'll give that a try at least. This stuff is so galoppy. So galoppy. Oh yeah, bloated with festering corruption. Plague Marines form the mainstay of the Death Guard. Unlike many traitor legions, their numbers have only swollen as the millennia have passed. Yeah, it's interesting. They actually dip back in out of the warp intermittently and just like grab a whole planet to get more people, to get more candidates that could be Plague Marines down the road. They have their own sort of apothecary function where they just like hijack, they get into fights so that they can steal gene seed and grow their numbers, which I think is pretty interesting. Like calculated strikes to just drop a few loyalist Marines, get in there with your what's their term for apothecary? It's a little different. But get in there, steal a gene seed, zip back to the warp, and then like make new Plague Marines. I'll read the rest of it in a bit. There we go. I feel like I need a tinier brush, But it's not the tool, it's the operator. Sometimes, at least, it's the tool. And sometimes it's that your paint's a little too thick, and then you realize, I don't have the control I thought I did. So you reset, and the end of that brush is looking pretty gnarly. You may have been put through enough for now, brush. Yeah, I'm gonna tap this guy out. Tap this guy out. Sworn in Nurgle service. Plague Marines have disgusting rotted bodies that stink of decay. That is definitely true. The putrescent slime that oozes from their sores corrodes armor, boils away skin. Yet despite their horrific disfigurements, they are fearsome warriors indeed. They are written very well. Like, I think Mortarian's kind of tough to read. He's so whiny. But like Plague Marines are dope. Even when they're stuck being the villain. Um, like they have a sense of humor. They like sing weird songs when they're showing up. Um, and it's always like their entrance is like a big deal. Even in the Gilliman books, it's like their attacks were always like you get bombarded with a bunch of plague stuff via air or mortars, and then you just hear these dudes trudging up. They're like very working class dudes. No, the Death Guard do not do that. The Death Guard do all the like the blue collar way of getting stuff done. They're like, yeah, we need some gene seed. We're gonna steal some people. We're gonna steal some gene seed, and then we'll cultivate more plague marines. But don't get me wrong. Like their stuff is pretty gross too. And I dug into this a lot in one of the lore videos. Like the Lords of Silence have this ship, and it's like it's partially alive, and it's got like tens of thousands of not Death Guard, not Astartes people on it, and like generations of people like Imperial ships, grow up, work, grow old, and die on this ship. Except that the ship is just a constant cycle of plagues going around on it, and even their putrefiers are like cultivating plagues in the lower decks where all these unchanged people work, and they're not poxwalkers. Like there's plenty of people on these ships that are sick, that are destitute, but they're not poxwalkers. They're people. They were born there, and they're gonna die there. Um, and they might get eaten by Nom, but like they don't ritualize the creation, as far as I know, and I haven't read every single like bit of lore on Death Guard, but a lot of what they do is like it mostly seems normal except that it's gross. It's not like fetishized. But like they'll often hum or sing a nice tune, like as they're creeping through the miasma, just taking their time, getting up to the battle line. They laugh about stuff when they get shot, but not like insane, like not like you know the Joker laughing about stuff. They're just like, whatever. It's no more pain, no more anger, just acceptance. Just spreading the good word. Nurgle's good word. This is starting to come together. A little bit more metallics in here. You can definitely see that, like, this bronze, super dark, super rich, pops off really nicely. There we go. Some more on here. I'm gonna hit this fly. Do this nice and gentle. I don't want to get over the sides because I want the wash to handle all that when it gets in there. I do want to get the edge. Dab more. Just to the edge, but not over it. There we go. That wasn't so bad. Terrifying, yes. Bad, no. That was a little overdone, but still in the safe zone. There we go. This little diamond. That looks good because these little dots. Just gently taking my time because this is not what I'm used to doing well. Keep it chill. Yeah. There's one dot. There's two dot. I've got to get this edge of the armor nice and gentle. Playing real close to a lot of white stuff I don't want to redo, but I'd be okay if I had to. Time to get that axe. There we go. That's better. Nice and gentle. I think I got that right. I went over a little bit. That's fine. That's fine. Just take your time. There we go. These two orb things. This is such a weird looking axe. It's like Art Deco. Someone like went into some really nice place and stole some placards off the walls and they're like, I'm gonna make an axe out of this. There we go. Still nice and reflective in there. I haven't gone over too much. There we go. Sort of in the through the scary spot. I may go back to watching Star Trek Enterprise before I go to bed. Can't get enough Star Trek. So good. I'm wondering how much gas I have left in the tank. It's only 10. I'll keep rocking out for as long as I can, but I'm always wiped out on Friday. I'm old and I'm weak. Not made out of the same stuff I used to be. which is good. Not that I regret anything from my past, but change is good. All right, just hitting all these little detailed bits. Yeah, that's pretty good. Can't tell if this axe is supposed to be pockmarked metal or not, but it looks like it, and we're just going to find out. Yeah, like shows that you've got an old ritual around. They're just like they're good comfort food. That is good stuff. And I think it's really awesome to just sort of honor people that way. It's just like keeping the ritual going. That's that's cool. Rituals are important. And when you take something that's super fun, like a really good show, you sort of get a 2 for 1 out of it where like you get to watch the show again. But then you're also just like honoring that old practice, remembering the person a little bit. These pauldrons I always forget the inside of, or I get too lackadaisical with them and I hit a bunch of other stuff while I'm painting them. So I'm going to be super careful with these guys. There we go. There's a good angle. It's not too bad. I realize you guys can't see anything, but guess what? I can't either. Yeehaw. I will dab a tiny amount in here. I actually got one of his old DVD seasons somewhere. That's pretty rad. Bless your old man. My pops is still around, but I can imagine every time I play a game of cribbage after he's passed, I'll be thinking about him. And obviously not exclusively when I play cribbage, but like that's kind of one of our rituals. All right, just getting these edges around these kneecaps. Ugh, man, that's rough. I feel for you. Like my dad is like still to this day, my old man's like my best friend. And I have a lot of very good friends, but like me and my dad are tight. And I always feel lucky that I still have them because like I know plenty of folks who lost their parents a lot earlier. Um, and then obviously like I work like I'm 40, 47 now. Like I have little kids. Like I'm like, man, I better not do anything. Like I better live a little bit for their benefit. Um, but that's tough, man. When people go too soon. Man, 50 or 51. That puts things in perspective for me. Like I don't even want to think about it. Ugh. There goes my vision. Starting to get them tired eyes. Not too tired to paint, but they're not focusing like they were an hour ago. I can feel them getting squirrely. I'm definitely losing track of where I'm keeping this model in the shot. There we go. This guy's got one of the super drippy backpacks that I love. It's a huge pile of snot just coming off the thing. It's great. All right, one pauldron is done. This other one. Yeah, go get them, bronze. You make everything all better. This to me is the point at which like the model starts looking really cool. It's your first really big dose of contrast. Like I love lead belcher as a metallic, but it's pretty flat on its own. This warp lock just takes the model to a new place. Maybe not for the best, but I love it. Super dark, super shiny. Nice and gentle around those edges. Oh, I just totally screwed that up. Oh boy. That's all right. Magic Q-tip. Save the day. It is one of the benefits of warp lock bronze that like if you do overshoot it in a spot, you don't have to get all the way up to the edges because you just kind of hit the thing with Agrax, which is like dark like this is. You'd probably be all right. Like that spot's pretty screwed up. I probably should go over it, but if I just hit it with some of that AK Slimy Grime Dark, all that sin gets washed away. Inside of the pauldrons, under the pauldrons. Oh yeah, this guy's arm is way up there. Oh, this is weird. He's dripping sideways because I jacked this thing so far back. That's weird. I'll probably leave those. I don't have to cut them off. They're fine. Marines don't need real gravity. That looks okay. That looks somewhere between mediocre and okay. That looks good. I'm in there. Got that groove. Just getting these edges of the armor so that there's a little line there and it's sort of shiny. This is really hard behind this axe. got like 87 lights going, and it's like there's still angles I can't see from. It's all good. There we go. Yeah, that's a good edge. Zoink. Way down. That's probably too much. I don't care. I like it. Too much of a good thing sometimes remains a good thing. There we go. Just learning to use the tip of that brush for the edge. Not stress out too much. All that stress goes to this shoulder every time. Good, good, good. Take a brief little rest here. Loosen my neck up, neck and shoulder. But he's coming along. I mean, I've got plenty of work to do on the teeth and the tongue. Got a little bit of tentacle stuff going. I've got the brown to do on the shaft of the axe. I'll probably throw some bronze on there too. A bunch of these guys got the cloaks, and then after that, it's probably, I may be moving into wash time just because it makes me happy. And I probably should wash these guys before I get down with the details. Yep, and I feel like it. I'm gonna move to wash. So it's happening. Skeleton Horde, Gillen Flash, Sepia, Agrax Earthshade. Yeah. Yeah, it's washing time. My tolerance for the flat paint look has increased and increased as I gain more faith in my process. That's like, when I finally do turn around and hit this guy with some wash, it'll look really cool. Even I have limits. Is this, no, it's a starter brush. I thought I had a shade brush floating around. Oh well. We'll just use this guy. Nah, it's too pointy. I don't want to wreck that thing. Let me find another brush. Just to be safe. Well, I found a couple beaten but not destroyed brushes. Let's Agrax this guy up. Agrax makes everything better. Oh. So I did pick up this stuff called Lamian Medium, which is allegedly the stuff that all the shades get to thin them out, but isn't water. So I might try some of this. Just make my Agrax not quite as absolutely thick and soupy. I know that's part of what makes Agrax so good, but I'm also curious how this stuff works. It's good stuff? All right. There's a rallying cry. Made good choices recently. That's good. That's good. Get some of this. Because normally I just water this stuff down, and it absolutely works, but whether or not it dabs into the right places the right way after you use water, it's debatable. All right, stir this stuff up. It's a bit thinner, and it's right on the palette. It's definitely a bit thinner. Ooh, it is pretty neat. It's slick. I could see in the future me using this stuff to start with a thin coat and then maybe dab in some areas a little bit darker after that. Yeah, let's mind the camera. Ugh. But for like splashing this on, it's like I'm getting those little lines, those little divots and places of popping contrast, but it's definitely not as strong. But I also haven't weakened the actual color of the pigment by mixing it with something else to thin it. That's kind of neat. I like it. Just no grime. Oh, don't use the G word. Ask and you shall receive. Honestly, I'm pretty sure this guy's gonna get grimed up. I don't know that it'll be tonight, um, but I foresee it. He's got a grimy future. I don't think there's any way for him to avoid it. Oh yeah, this Lamian medium is like it's good. Like it's legit good. Um, this is way better. It's way slicker than what I was doing when I was adding water. I wonder if I can get the bottom of this little trunk a little bit. Bottom of this bone trunk. I like this stuff a lot, and it comes in the big bottle. Trust me, it won't be tonight. You'll sleep fine tonight. But tomorrow I may just turn this guy over and just dunk him in grime. He's supposed to be super dark. He's due. Need a dunk tank for these guys. There we go. Everything's looking good. Nice wash. Make sure you're always getting into all those little crevices, even when you're doing a large space. Like it's easy to get a little lazy and miss a spot. But as long as everything gets a little bit dampened by it, it'll start walking around on its own a little. That's what I love about washes. Yeah, I could see this needing an additional actual coat of Agrax like straight up, but I often just find Agrax to be like a little too dark for my taste. So I end up like tattoo needling it into certain spots, but I love the color. Just don't want it to be as dense. And right now, yeah, I'll even hit this thing. It's a pleasant amount. Not too little, not too much. And later I can add more detail with a thicker coat. Just get all the way around this. Oh yeah, I gotta get into this back part. Like all this underneath inside stuff, that'll get straight up Agrax. Not diluted at all. Hide all those weird spots in the back. Alrighty. That guy looks pretty thoroughly washed. Do the same on this dude. Wash this off. Go back to my Lamian medium. I should be in a horror movie. It is pretty scary putting it on the first couple times. Now that I've done it, I'm like, okay, it's a little safer, but like, man, hitting that miasmic malignifier was like, man, do I feel like I'm wrecking this model. Like this I could be buying another one of these. Thankfully didn't have to. It's a leap of faith. For sure. That stuff's magic though. It's really cool. Alright, in we go. Nice mix. Agrax Earthshade and Lamian Medium. This stuff is fun. That's the thing, is like I have no interest in taking all this all too seriously. I watch a few channels here and there of people that take it very seriously, and I like it when they do, but I just I don't think I could do that. I couldn't keep a straight face. But no, I feel like I have a small responsibility to occasionally give you nightmares. Like that seems like something to approach with lofty pride. But yeah, now we have a good time sitting here painting models to the wee hours of the morning for you, till an entirely reasonable bedtime for me, and sometimes during someone's lunch break. It's all good. Yeah, exactly. You got to stay in the favor of chaos somehow. Like I'm never gonna forget the forces that make it all possible for me to have this fun. That's exactly what it is. It's like keep it chaotic. I'm just gonna get all over this helmet thing. And honestly, like some of the things I like the most are just straight up a result of like chaotically trying something different and new with painting. Like my love of Tesseract Glow came from accidentally spilling the pot of it out, thinking it was normal paint, trying to get a little out of there, and now I like use it for all kinds of stuff. Stretching your boundaries. I mean, absolutely, my use of that Acre Slimy Grime Dark is my primary, like literally my primary Death Guard color. Total mistake. Just like did not understand paints enough, and it worked out great. Now I love it. Absolutely love it. And if I played by the books, I'd never find any of that stuff out. Go me. I was going to get paint over him in a bit, but I don't care. All right, that guy looks pretty good. He's good to go. Yeah. October. I feel like I do need to get a few tiny little representatives of models. You know, I've got a Necron showing up. I've got that Trazen model hopefully showing up sometime in the near future. It's in the mail somewhere. Um, I'll probably get an orc model of some sort sometime soon. I'm gonna get a Tau model sometime soon. Um, I mean, I've at least played around with the super easy Ultramarines, and they were kind of cool. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'll get into Tyranids at all, but I should probably get one of them. All right, I gotta look up whatever that means. Goth Rocker. What does he look like? That guy looks awesome. I'm not gonna lie. That is a very, very cool model. That looks dope. That would be a really cool model to make a custom base for. Like the fact that his foot is already up on that like squig amp looking thing. You could like put him on like a riser. Put him on the front of like a doof wagon from Mad Max. All set. Okay. That's a very cool model. I presume he's from like years past and tough to find, but I'm pretty good at keeping an eye out for stuff. All right, Sarah from Sepia, here we go. on my skulls, my armor. There we go. Take everything down a nice notch. We're not bright white. We're stained out in the sun, out in the gloom. Man, I didn't even know that rocker guy existed. That's so cool. Ooh, just last year. There's absolutely a chance. So the other reason that I have to like go out and visit some stores around me beyond just like having a place, finding a place I feel like cool about showing up and playing, is I really don't know the full lay of the land in terms of like getting to know store owners and like being able to like set up trades for stuff or just like know when stuff is coming in. Like I used to play Magic the Gathering a lot, and where I was living at the time, like within 25 to 30 minutes around me, like I knew all the stores. I'd visit them like, probably each one monthly. I didn't like go on tour on a weekend to a bunch of them, but like one weekend I'd check one out, maybe play a couple games, another weekend check another one out. And you sort of build that network. And that I don't have any of. The only place I've been to that is remotely Warhammer related was an actual Warhammer store. And it's a good store. It's a good store, and I like the guy that works there a lot. He's really cool, and it was very helpful when I got started. It was super nice, um, but I feel like I gotta cultivate a network of shops. I feel like I'm in the know, have my sort of choice of places to go. Yeah, a little Seraphim Sepia on this thing. Yeah, on that edge. There we go. That guy's looking seasonably sepiaed. One Necron's army, one Ultramarines, one Black Templars, one Flesh Eaters, one Obsidian Glaives, one Death Guard, one Imperial Fists, one Traitor Guard, one my own chapter, one Imperial Guard, two Heresy armies. That's fantastic, man. That is what I like to see. Strong, impressive commit. I love it. And like you get this amazing broad swath of so many different model types and paint jobs. That's very cool. Mad respect. Do you have the space to actually like be able to like display them all at once, or do you have to like sort of bring them out in rotation as you work on them? Do they have to get packed away? Because like that is a lot of plastic. But yes, I envy you. Someday I aspire to be like, I got this army, I got that army, I got this one. Very cool. Yeah. I've got space for probably. I mean, it depends on the army, but like in here, I've got other like that shelf up top could easily have another army on it. I'm definitely not gonna. This shelf can probably fit like 2 to 3 full armies on it because I think I'm always gonna have a few big things in every army. I don't want an army that's purely made out of small stuff. I'll gobble up some points on some big things, but I quickly run out after that. There's not a lot of places in the rest of my house that I could. There's no place in the rest of my house that I really could display this stuff. So the hope is sometime in the not too distant future, I move out of this place, take my family to a new place, and get to build a proper like office lab workshop. Big enough space to like have a table out for big games, kind of situation. Dude, you know I want to see a picture of that, Dane. Don't be coy with me. I absolutely take plenty of pictures of that. I would love to see that, and you know it. Dude, that sounds like the coolest thing ever. An amazing collection. I appreciate your modesty, Dane, but yes, I do want to see pictures of it. Absolutely. And thank you. Those guys are looking reasonably grimed up. Not too grimy. Oh, this guy's teeth. This guy's teeth need some seraphim sepia. Because he doesn't brush, and I missed a whole section of this arm. It's a good thing I flipped him over while I was looking at his teeth. Missed a whole spot. And the teeth I hit with this, because yeah, they'll look like that sort of stained bone, but then I definitely go back with a much lighter white. Give it some highlights, but I let a decent amount of the seraphim sepia just like soak in there. Makes the teeth pop a bit more. And I think I'll probably do the same with these teeth as I did with this guy, where they get just a little bit of like a reddish wash at the tips. They'll be a little bit whiter on the bottom. I don't know. We'll get there when we get there. Yeah, there's a spot I missed. Blink. All right, rotate you around. Not leaving any white hiding. There we go. There we go. Missed a spot. Yeah. Yeah. You fall off your seat in amazement. You know what? I treasure moments when I fall off of my seat in amazement. I don't get too many of those moments, but honestly, like stuff like this, like you talk like a big, really cool collection, is absolutely the kind of thing that I just like totally get jazzed about. Because it shows like an amazing commitment over time. Like it's just really cool. But yeah, if things go well, I have an okay amount of equity in this house. If things go well and I can find something where the pricing makes sense and it's a better house for like having a lot of kids, because I got a lot of kids now. Definite part of it is like outbuilding electricity, plumbing, my work office so that I can like detach from things. But then part of that being an absolute nerd Warhammer painting and playing space, and then my wife having space to do a bunch of her painting stuff, which is not these little guys, but she does a lot of creative, cool stuff. So that's kind of the dream. That's my true midlife crisis thing, is building a proper like adult nerd cave. Um, I would like that very much, and I'm pushing the limits of like being able to stream in this setup. I can obviously, like I don't feel bad about it, but like it is pretty cramped in here. I've got 8 million things clamped to the side of this desk. I keep adding more lights in the room, so that I can run my cameras with their apertures closed down a bit so the focus is better, so I can do the thing with the stuff. Picture is up. Oh yeah, I do want to see it. I'm gonna leave those guys there so you can smile. But I'm saving my pennies. Oh yeah. All kinds of stuff on there. That Titan is cool. So many. Lots of cool stuff. So, here's one thing I don't get. Um, what are the ultramarine guys with like the super huge shoulders that almost comes up to like their head? Is that like what their Terminator armor looks like? They're like mega shoulder dudes. It's really cool looking. So many models. Wow. Cool stuff. So basically like zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. Awesome. Old Mark I Saturnine Terminator armor. I just learned a new thing for sure. Well, on that note, I think because these guys are so laden with wash, I think I'm going to just let them dry for tonight. Tomorrow will be rust stuff. It'll be details like filling in some metallics that I couldn't really hit or got reattacked by other things. It'll be any of that red fabric, including this guy's mega cape, and this guy's definitely getting a dip in some grime. Some pretty dark stuff. Absolutely gonna just cover this guy in grime. Fun fact, it wasn't called Saturnine at the time of its creation. Do tell, what was it called? And I do have some bronze to add to this guy too, but my eyes are just too tired. I will dab this guy with some white though. That's still on my palette before I absolutely peace out. Let's get these teeth so that it'll be dry by tomorrow. Just some little bits. I keep thinking I'm done and they keep pulling me back. There we go. Some color on those teeth. Doink. Oh. Interesting. Well, that's an interesting little tidbit of information. I do love the fact that tons of stuff is like redacted. Um, like a bunch of the Horus Heresy books are like, it's sort of presumed that you're getting little snippets and bits because there were remembrancers there, even though it's like telling you in the moment. I just find that stuff like really, really cool that they throw narrative sort of hooks in there. They're like, maybe this is how some of the story got out, but it's not. It's even implied that like everything in the Horus Heresy books is not like 100% verifiable, even though you're like there in scene. I think it's an interesting thread of the whole history leading up to 40K is that it's okay for parts to just get deleted in time. Like nobody knows who those other two Primarchs are, and it just got universally redacted out. Um, it's neat. It's cool stuff. Anyway, I know it's like not that late for me, but yeah, chain fists. But I'm gonna peace out for the night. I will try if I can. I have no idea what my weekend schedule is, but I will try to stream during the day. Yeah, thanks, man. Um, Tomorrow. Generally on the weekends, at least one of the days I can get a couple hours in the afternoon, which is really good because a lot of times getting a couple hours in the afternoon like sets up the night's paint to be like done with something. So I'm hopeful. But anyhow, thanks for hanging out and watching the quest continue. Um, and after these plague marines, there'll be some more, and then eventually I'll just work up. I'll run out, and then I'll have to do more terrain, and that'll be a whole mess. And it'll be a lot of fun, and that will take forever. Um, Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.